Hi. So I was watching this video by H.S. Sinha where he spoke about Karl Marx, and then all the memories that I had while I was doing my graduation when I was studying theories and then post graduation. And then you keep studying about these mm, uh, economists over and over again until, of course, even when you are through with your education, you keep studying about them because it gets hardwired into you to explore more. So, the trigger of doing this video was that video that I watched. Um, so, he spoke about Karl Marx and how he did not rely on the middle class for bringing any major change in the society, and he rather chose the lower class, lower income group, and the higher income group to make some creations, some concrete creations in the society, to make some concrete changes in the society. And where we live, the country we live, we have more than 50% of people in this income group called the middle class. And still many of us have very hazed ideas about middle class. So why not know about middle class a little more? Because once you've understood middle class, you've understood economy of a country. You haven't understood economy of a country if you haven't if you don't know if you don't know how the middle class behaves. Because more often than not, the lower income group, they have a lot of commonality in their behavior, in their attitude, no matter what country you're talking about. But it is the middle class which shows some diverseness. So and are people in power really paying attention to middle class or not? What do we have to bank upon? So all this started, and I think I've come upon something worthwhile, and I'm here to share. There are illustrations, but I did not accept the income-based parameter for ranking people according to according to which part of which section of the society they were falling into. What I banked upon was something that I will talk about. Um, I don't know whether it's written anywhere or not, but when I thought about it, I thought that this could give you a more solid idea as to what middle class is and how did it come into being? Why did it come into picture at all? So here it is. Here is the illustration. So I started out with Maslow's pyramid of needs, where he says that the basic need, the lowest part of this pyramid is physiological needs. If you're able to survive, if you have food, water, shelter, even though it could be a temporary one, you can survive. And that's the need that the below poverty line and lower income group is taking care of. Either they are taking care of themselves or the government is taking care of this need for them. Not wholly so. Many of them are supporting themselves however they can in the worst possible circumstances. They are managing somehow. And then after your food, shelter, water needs are taken care of, you think about whether I will get these things tomorrow. That's when you think about your, or whether I shouldn't be attacked by anyone, I shouldn't be ousted from any place. That's when you start thinking about your safety, your future. That's the need for safety. And that's when transition starts taking place from below poverty line to the middle class, the lower middle class. They think about their basic needs. uh, they want to ensure that they will get these things even tomorrow and day after. And after these two needs are taken care of, they think about love and belongingness. Everyone wants to have, whether we realize or not, during teenage and early 20s or late 20s, we have a strong desire to be accepted by the society, to be recognized. We want people to acknowledge us, to like us. So that can only take place, that can only happen once your safety needs and physiological needs are taken care of. So once you have achieved this, either you can get love or you can give love. People want to have a balance of the two. They want to have love and they want to give love in form of support. um, and then once this need is taken care of, um, here I want to say that you don't have control over how much love you can get from the outside exogenous forces. How much support do you get? But what you do have in your control is how much love do you give to your surroundings, people, fellow human beings, animals, plants, your nature. So everything under the sun, basically, that you think has some emotion and needs to be taken care of. And then you have the second last need is esteem. You want to know, you want to feel that you are making some worthwhile contributions to the world. And finally, self-actualization. Are you doing what you were meant for? So while the middle class starts when your physiological needs are taken care of and you graduate towards seeking safety needs, the middle class ends when you graduate from just having these three needs met, that is physiological safety, love and belongingness, you and a bit of esteem, towards self actualization. That's when the rich class comes into picture, because the major changes in the society are made by them. They are creating things by actualizing what they were meant for. So talking specifically about India, let me but uh, all right, so there's this more than 50% of us in this bracket of middle class. But middle class, it's just not simple three bands in the spectrum of lower class and middle class and upper class. It's actually lower middle class. The many, but major ones are below poverty line, and then lower middle class, and you have middle class, upper middle class, elite, super rich, richest of the rich people. And this is all to make things easier for you. So middle class, they feel they are adequately sufficiently safe if they have shelter other than their physiological needs being met. So they should have a home uh, that's not very temporary. They should have it for a longer period of time, extended period of time. They should have some income, some stable source of income. They should be educated at least to a degree, or at least their children should have some education. So then you think that somebody is belonging to a middle class if they have a place to stay, if they have some sort of income. Say they are educated, not just literacy. They have some kind of a skill or a specialization, and they have a vehicle. So while in rich country they have uh, they have not such an lower range car. Here it would be enough if you have a bicycle or a scooter or a bike, second hand, third hand, whatever. But they feel things are much more in control if these things are taken care of. So that's how you can differentiate middle class from lower middle class. And the grade improves when you grade of these four things improve as you move to from lower middle to upper middle class. They have a better home, bigger home, in a better infrastructure place, and they have a bigger sizable income, they have better education, they have a bigger and better vehicle. So this is one aspect of knowing what middle class is. And then this is specifically about uh, from Indian perspective. Now we have more than 50%, which is more than half of the people in the lower middle class. So middle class, if you make a pyramid, from a pyramid that captures the middle part of it, you will see that the middle portion, the middle class, also can be divided in three bands. The lower middle class, which is like more than half of it, 52.31. It may have changed because and you don't get up to date data, so 2 3 years plus minus make some changes in it. and then you have 30 percent, some 30 plus percent staying in the comfortable zone, that's middle of the middle class, and then you have the remaining smaller portion of upper middle class. Now lower middle class people, how are they different from the poverty line people? Physiological needs are met, safety needs are met, but they don't have a stable income. They live from paycheck to paycheck. This would include all your people who have acquired skills. They're just literate, they are not much educated. They can they're able to write something, they're able to operate their ATMs, they're able to uh, uh, communicate through writing. That's it. So this would include your masons, your plumbers, and people who are into the lowest rung of working in offices, etc. So but that those offices are not, they don't have a stable job there, so they live, this is the lower middle class for you. Now the comfortable class they have a stable income, and the upper middle class is the one where people are very quite educated, and therefore they have developed some kind of a skill, mostly knowledge based. And they also include, this portion also includes elite class. When you're born in a rich family, where you don't have to worry about whether how the next meal would be arranged. You don't have to worry about your two square meals. You don't have to worry whether you would have a roof over your head. You are born in a house that is yours, your family's. So that's upper middle class for you. So I guess most of it is clear by now. Uh, as to what middle class is, and if it isn't, there is small little thing that can make things more clear, and that is that the rich, if you want to differentiate between rich class and the middle class, is that the rich would create resources, would like to have their dominance, and uh, mm, would like to own resources. That's why they would own a factory, they would own lands, uh, they would own uh, they would own industries, they would own things, would have capital, while middle class would like to own things, because they are dream hoarders. They have always had dreams of having a house after seeing a house of a rich person. So their dream is not, let me have an industry or factory, or an office, or some kind of a institute. That's not the dream they grow up with. They grow up with dreams like, let me have a house, let me have a vehicle, let me have, just like that rich person, let me go to some holiday place or destination just like them. So that's how they are raised, that's how they grow up. This now another research that shows that, which was this was done in 2014, and it basically will give you all the idea about what are the different categories of middle class in India. We start with the misconception that the middle class only exists in urban region. No, 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 it also has a strong presence in rural region. Anyone who has a stable income and has a home, and has a some kind of a stable income, as I said, and has vehicle, and their children are getting education, they would fall into this category. So you have the largest portion of the middle class staying in rural areas. This comprise two-third of the total middle class. And then you have the rising middle class, which is mostly in it only mostly is about those that income group where their parents are not educated but children are, so they have managed to bag some stable they have managed to bag some job that will give them a stable income, that would help them have a steady source of income. So rising middle class is the second in this ranking. And then you have your trader class. Trader class would are the more people who are most practical in this group. They are not swayed by what community, what religion the party candidate is. They only think about which candidate will prove most beneficial for them. So in that case, they are most level headed. And then you have your urban private middle class. They have time, they have access to internet, because they usually have 9 to 5 jobs. So they talk a lot about which is a better religion, which one, who's doing what are the policies, what are the implications. So they do a lot of mm, information synthesis, and they are swayed by a lot of factors, like what is the community that a certain candidate is coming from, and so on. So this should make things clear. But before I go any further, I got a lot of clarity from this particular information. What do you think uh, a middle class is good for in eyes of administration? Are they contributing the most to consumption? Are they keeping the consumption levels robust? The answer is no, because the lower rung, they consume the most. So, like, talking of ratio, they will spend their 80% uh, on on uh, on buying things. They don't have much to save, and they know whatever they have to save will not fetch them anything much in future, so they don't save. So the consumption level of the middle class is moderate. However, they contribute a lot to savings. In fact, the largest portion of household of saving rates savings in the country come from household savings, of private savings, household savings from people. More than 65% of it comes from it. But then there has been a decline. We'll talk about it. And after that, after the consumption, after the saving, um, yeah, taxes also come from the middle class. They're very righteous in paying all that. They don't usually evade taxes. They are righteous, but then the taxes that they contribute isn't much for the government. So because until you know that the tax bracket is something of this sort, that if you are earning up to 2.5 lakhs, that is some 20,000 plus per month, you don't come into tax bracket, you're exempted from it. But if you get between 2.5 to 5 lakhs, you do pay taxes. But that makes only 2% of the tax base. 5 to 10 lakhs, then that makes a sizable portion, 20%. And then finally, if you earn more than 10 lakhs, then the tax base is almost 30% plus of those people. So the people who earn 10 lakhs plus, maybe less, but they contribute sizable amount. So as far as taxes are concerned, even then, even from this perspective, middle class is not able to contribute a lot. So it's all in all, why is middle class's role lukewarm, or, or lackluster in the country's economy? Because they are not the most robust uh, class when it comes to consumption. They are able to save quite a bit, but their savings is less in ratio. And then the taxes is also somewhat moderate. What is it good for then? It makes a good vote base for the governments. So you keep them in good humor, or you talk about them uh, every once in a while. because you know they would vote for you. That's only what they are good for. Second, they are the major contributors of human capital. So where you need people working under you, it's middle class that will provide you that base, that capital. So that's why the whole focus is on improving the quality of human capital. And how do that? They do that by getting better education and getting more skills. So this is one thing that one needs to understand. However, in the um, COVID times, the middle class has shrunk. I'm sorry, has shrunk because many people lost their jobs. So the lower part of the middle class has been eliminated, or has condensed quite a bit, and they have come in the below poverty line. And there are more women who are almost a sizable number of women in below poverty line than men, because they are not able to get they are not able to participate in all kinds of jobs, plus they live longer. So they're not just poor, they are they need health assistance, and uh, also also some assistance when it comes to their survival. So it's even a sadder state of affair. So yeah, coming back to what middle class is good for. Since it's not good for, there is no direct or super important role that the middle class is playing. You would notice the major policies that any government would make are also directed less towards the middle class. They do only lip service, they only talk once in a while, they only make some comment once in a while that would exhilarate middle class. Otherwise, some major stuff, no, that doesn't happen. So because in my last video I have spoken about that every government basically focuses on creation, maintenance, and creative destruction. So creation would mean making new policies that would make some that will bring about some notable change in the society. Maintenance of who? People below poverty line, and to an extent middle class. This is not paid much attention to, because people in under poverty line, they get the priority when it comes to uh, assistance in survival. They need it more. Creative destruction, debunking debunking policies that are not serving their society anymore. So, why do I say that not many policies? You can just go around, you can just go through net and study what are the major policies that the present government has also made. They also made policies that were not directed to much towards the maintenance of the middle class. So, because what does middle class finds most helpful in their sustenance? Inflation should be in control. Inflation has risen to no extent. Even in November, if I can remember correctly, it is 5 to 6% inflation. And you know that the basic rule is that if you have inflation in a country more than 2%, things are not going something wrong with it. The saving rates, of which middle class was the greatest contributor, that has slid down. In 2008, it was around 31%. Now it is 18%, because people's savings has started getting eroded, because first the interest that they get is not much, plus the inflation has risen so much that they have to liquidate their savings. Infrastructurally, India is not doing well. So if some if how I said was middle class uh, how can middle class be maintained through infrastructure as well? So power supply, water, uh, steady supply of water and power, and roads should be good in case they want to venture out to into some business, or they want to go to their offices, or whatever be the case. So the operational cost of all these things gets very high because the roads are not good. Our place in the world infrastructure ranking is 43rd. It plus minus 4 5 places, because that's what we are hovering on, 40, between 40 to 50. That's the rank. Unemployment has risen quite a bit, 8%, 7 in the rural region, 8 in the urban region. Then competitiveness, uh, in case middle class person wants to start a business of their own, they don't get a very conducive environment. So competitiveness of the environment that the Indians get, is also not uh, quite heartening. All right. Why do we think, coming back to the policy bit, why do we think that the about government is not doing much about sustenance sustenance of middle class? I already said these are the signs and symptoms: inflation, saving rate. That's These are just symptoms. The actual thing is, how can you help a middle class to survive? Because they would provide you human capital. Where else will you get it from? Not not people from below poverty line, because they are not able to produce a good human capital. Secondly, may not be too high, but then taxes to a large extent are provided by the middle class. Some notable amount of consumption rate is also contributed by the middle class. So, and of course, they also they are also the knowledge base of all classes, for many classes, because even the rich people and upper middle and elite class, they also pay quite a bit of attention. But then the middle class and lower middle class is also fast changing. All right, so why do we know for a certainty that the battery is running low, that middle class is not performing well? Because the private sector is not rising, which could give them jobs, and the urbanization is also not happening. It has gotten stagnant before the battery runs out completely. uh, there has to be better education, innovation, not just in sitting in laboratories, making changes as per market needs. That has to, if these things are taken care of, you're good to go. And then microfinancing has to start even in private sectors, where middle class could participate, so that they can escape the middle class trap, which is like not getting a stable place in the society. And before you get a stable place in the society, you've already grown old. That's that for now. Bye bye.